Hey, want to listen to some tunes?
Taking the internet by storm in 2020 and still going strong even in 2023, Friday Night Funkin' has since evolved into something far beyond the initial prototype version that was submitted for the Ludum Dare 47 Game Jam, the theme of which being stuck in a loop. The game is so popular, in fact, that when crowdfunding first began for the full game on Kickstarter, it ended up taking only hours to reach the initial goal of $60,000, and the Kickstarter ultimately ended up raising over $2 million. Well, there's many reasons one can point to as to why Friday Night Funkin' is so popular. One of the biggest is definitely its community, particularly its modding scene, which has done wonders in keeping the internet invested after the game developers decided to forego week-based updates in favor of focusing on the full game. In these mods, fans add their own opponents and songs, and it can range from just one new week to basically a full game's worth of content. And today, I intend to show off the best these mods have to offer by ranking the 15 best Friday Night Funkin' songs, or at the very least my most favorite. But before we begin, I'd like to share the criteria I'm using to judge these songs. The most important part, shock of all shocks, is the song itself, and how good it is to listen to. I'll also be talking about the visuals and mechanics that happen when you're actually playing through the song. These can be used to enhance the songs, but they won't really matter as much as how the song sounds. This is because if the visuals are subpar or the mechanics are frustrating, then you can just look for an upload of a song on YouTube or something like that. As well, for variety's sake, I'm only allowing myself to choose one song per mod. Before we begin, it's worth noting that my knowledge of music and how it's made doesn't really go all that far beyond air vibration make brain release happy chemical. So if I say a song is one genre when it's really another or get anything else wrong like that, you know why. But without further ado, I present my top 15 best Friday Night Funkin' songs. It's been like a year since the video was first released, so I'm not sure if the meme is dead, but say it with me anyway. Bring down the house of God, bring down the house of God. We're starting this list off with a classic in Zavodilla, and let me just say, there's a damn good reason it once ranked 37 on the Billboard charts. To describe this song, you truly only need one word: bass. Not only does the song have a great Russian hard bass instrumental, but your opponent, Ruv, is so Russian, his voice is also hard bass. And not to mention, it's loud enough to shake the church without his mic even being plugged in. This song overall just does a great job of showing how powerful Ruv really is. Not just because the screen shakes whenever he sings, a nice touch I might add, but also by how the instrumental gets louder whenever he's singing. Every single note Ruv hits feels like being hit by a speeding truck in the best possible way. Another thing I like about this song is Mike Gino's version of the boyfriend's voice. I think it works very well in this song. This part of a song in particular I just find so good. Alas, poor mid-fight masses. I knew them well. It really did hurt to see this mod go, as it was one of the classics, and unlike Sky or Witty, which were also taken down, it was never made public again after getting privated. Yeah, sure, some parts of the mod, particularly the charting, weren't exactly what I'd call perfect, but what kind of waste of oxygen would someone have to be to think that justifies literal harassment and death threats? But regardless of all of that, the mod's soundtrack is still amazing, and even among all those great songs, Zavodilla still manages to stand out. And now, for number 14, we have oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to put you on hold. It's dinner time, and I'm having Italian. Aw, man, I burned it. Speaking of burned Italian... You know, I never would have thought that a burnt corpse would be a very good singer on account of, you know, being a burnt corpse, but I gotta say, Luigi here really proved me wrong. They really nailed Luigi's vocals for this song. Not only do they sound like Luigi, but they also have this sort of strained quality to them. It's kind of like he's crying out in lament for the sorry state he finds himself in, and just how far he's fallen. It's not just the vocals that are great, but the instrumental is fantastic too. It's fast-paced and frantic, but also with this tragic edge to it that pairs really well with the vocals. And I gotta say, it really fits with the original source material, which is about a player finding a secret level in Super Mario World that reveals that Luigi was actually a double agent for Bowser, and he betrayed his brother because he was tired of always being stuck in his shadow. In the climax, Luigi confronts his brother and reveals his true loyalties before attempting to kill him. And judging from Luigi's appearance in the mod, I think you can guess that that did not exactly go well for him. I think the song really fits because Luigi's anger and hate are representative of how frantic and fast-paced it is, but the tragic edge of the song represents just how pointless Luigi's betrayal was. Luigi had a pretty good spot in life, being a hero of the Mushroom Kingdom alongside his brother Mario, but jealousy over always having to play second fiddle to Mario caused him to secretly ally with Bowser and attempt to kill his brother, causing Mario to have to kill him in self-defense. If Luigi had just kept his jealousy in check, everything would be fine, but he couldn't, and his attempt of getting out of Mario's shadow by killing him ended with him going from a hero of the Mushroom Kingdom to a charred corpse that will be remembered only as a traitor, which is why I think the fast-paced yet tragic tone of the song just works so well. Okay, that's enough of my over-analysis, but on the topic of the original source material, I love how much of it is referenced during the song. The fight takes place on the bridge where Mario and Luigi fought, and during the course of the song, the eyeless Boo's, messages written in blood, and the drowned Mario show up. I think all these references are neat, and they add a little flair to an already great song.
That's number 13. You see, it's a bush, and I whacked it. Whacked bushwhack. Number 13's bushwhack. Yes, this is the best joke I could come up with. I am the funniest man alive, and you will laugh at everything I say.
3, 2, 1, go!
While it was inevitable that a lot of indie horror games were going to get FNF mods due to how much these fandoms tend to overlap, I don't think many would have been able to predict that one of the first mods would be about Zardy's Maze, which, while I don't think I can exactly call it obscure, isn't exactly as popular as some other indie horror games I can think of. A surprise to be sure, but damn if it ain't a welcome one, because both Foolhardy and especially Bushwhack are absolute bangers. The first thing I want to talk about is the vocals. Zardy might have one of, if not the best chromatic scale out of any FNF character in my opinion. They're just that good. During his song, Zardy alternates between using two different sets of vocals, one being soft yet eerie, and the other being, "Get off my damn lawn!" I really like Zardy's first vocal set due to how eerie it sounds, and also because despite it being soft and even somewhat calming, it still carries a certain weight to it that really makes you feel that Zardy could kick your ass at any time. Whereas Zardy's second set of vocals, which I also love, where he's screaming, are much more intense, which represents the fact that he's currently in the process of kicking your ass. This is also shown in the fact that during the harder segments of the song, Zardy uses his second set of vocals, whereas in the comparatively easier sections he's using his first. Despite how different the two sets of vocals sound, they still both pair amazingly well with the instrumental, which is a dark and eerie yet fast-paced metal track that is a joy to listen to. Just short of halfway into the track, Zardy realizes he left the oven on and leaves, at which point the song picks up again and your opponent changes to Cable Crow. Cable Crow only has one set of vocals, which kinda sounds like Zardy's screaming vocals, except they're deeper and more robotic sounding. I think I do prefer Zardy's vocals overall, but Cable Crow's still sound great, especially during the held notes segment. If I have to complain about one thing in this song, it's Cable Crow's half being a bit repetitive, as he does reuse some sections during the song, but it still sounds good. One thing I should mention is that this song is really hard to beat. It is definitely one of of the hardest on this list and might even have an argument for being the hardest. The song is incredibly fast, clocks in at 6 minutes long, and has 1,663 notes. As well, there's a vine that'll occasionally grab you and drain your health, and to escape it, you have to input a sequence of 4 notes that are randomly selected, the pattern randomizing again if you get it wrong. It is incredibly difficult, but not in a way where it ever really felt unfair, and whenever I did fail, I wanted to try again. The only exception to that being when the game started to lag, which really isn't the mod's fault, as it kind of happens whenever I play Friday Night Funkin'. And even then, Zardy's mod seems to be a bit better optimized than a few other mods, like Witty are especially tricky. It took me so long to get that footage of expurgation for the intro because the game just wouldn't stop lagging. In the video Swankybox made about the development of Foolhardy, he mentions wanting to make an almost black metal type song that's kinda spooky. That would be the hardest mod yet in FNF, but still enjoyable to play. Safe to say the creators of the Zardy mod succeeded with that in Foolhardy and took it up to 11 with Bushwhack. And for number 12, we have Welcome from Versus Mouse, and as you can tell just by listening to it, it is glorious? It's, vocals. They sure are vocals, and that instrumental is, there. Was I on drugs when I put this song on the list? Oh wait, I was supposed to talk about the remaster. Or the resaster. Michael, you're so great at spelling. Wait a second. Resaster? Saster? Yo, is that Saster? Damn, that opening piano segment is awesome. Have you ever heard someone say you can't polish a turd? Well, nobody must have told Saster that growing up because he took Welcome Old from Versus Mouse, a song infamous in the Friday Night Funkin' community for being, well, Welcome Old, and made it into something amazing. The instrumental is a cheerful piano tune that just screams fun, and pairs incredibly well with the upbeat vocals of both the boyfriend and Marcus. Yeah, for those who don't know, this guy isn't Mickey, he's Marcus. The lore of Versus Mouse is that he's like a clone of the original Mickey Mouse, and he's like the most successful out of all of them, which isn't really all that hard when the other ones look something like this. But he's not a perfect recreation and is prone to bouts of anger. Also, while we're talking about the lore, I'd like to take the time to point out that on Marcus's character page on Funkopedia, the trivia section states that not only is he a bitch, but a bitch-ass motherfucker! Anyway, back to the song. This song really harkens back to the days when Disney was about fun and magic, not corporate greed and selling out to dictatorships. I love this part where Marcus's facade slips and the song changes to reflect that, using different piano keys than before to create a more eerie and even creepy tone. After this, it transitions into a 6/8 time signature, which always sounds good. Here, have a listen. Saster is probably one of the best composers in the community and certainly one of the most well-respected. And spoiler alert, this is not the last time you're gonna see him on this list. Do I really need to say anything, or However, does the awesomeness of this song just speak for itself? Well, if I didn't say anything during this segment, that would be pretty lazy, so I guess I do have to say something about this song. So, how about I say this? It's really damn good. The song is incredibly fast-paced, with a frantic and energetic instrumental that goes as well with the vocals of both the boyfriend and Shaggy as oxygen does with your respiratory system. Also, Megalovania reference. Being honest, while I like basically all the songs in versus Shaggy, I don't really like Shaggy's vocals all that much. I'm not sure if I can exactly put my finger on it as to why, but to me they just sound a bit weird and like he won't shut up about the Prime Minister. However, this song makes full use of Shaggy's vocals, and I gotta say, they sound excellent here. I am absolutely in love with the part of a song where it slows down and the vocals stop, and then it uses the countdown sound effect from when a song starts in Friday Night Funkin', and then has the go man go sound effect from the main menu of the base game. I am a sucker for whenever Friday Night Funkin' songs do that. It's just so hype, like there's a crowd cheering you on as you play the song. I am so in love with this section of the song that I want to marry it. It's that good. People who are familiar with the Shaggy mod might be wondering why I'm playing on the Mania difficulty, which only has you using 4 keys, instead of one of the other difficulties which has you using extra ones. Well, the reason for that can be summed up in 2 words. I suck. It's a real shame that the planned Super Shaggy update was cancelled, as this mod was already great and only getting better. Though it is definitely understandable why the creator decided to cancel the project, due to the stress it put on them. And besides, with songs as good as this, it's not like I can complain about what we got.
It takes over your life, crawling in and changing you from the inside out.
Honestly, why wouldn't this song be amazing? It's the final song of this absolutely massive mod's main story. Of course, they were gonna at least try and top everything that came before. One thing I really appreciate about this song is the visual design of both Black Imposter and the boyfriend. Well, it is kind of overdone. I love how they made the boyfriend look so afraid in this fight. Having someone who's usually characterized as too stupid to fear really anything shows so much fear that they have their eyes closed throughout most of the song, as if he's too afraid to even look at him. Does a great job of showing just how much power Black Imposter wields. As for Black Imposter's design, for a funny being with legs, they made him look absolutely vicious. And that goes double, no, triple, no, quadruple for his parasite form. With those brightly colored veins, that glowing red eye, the way he towers over the boyfriend, the erratic movements during his poses that give the impression of screaming, and those sharp teeth that he grinds during his idol. It does an amazing job of showing just how royally pissed off he is that you've managed to evade not only him but his underlings for so long. To think, I've already heaped on so much praise and yet I haven't even gotten around to talking about the song itself yet. The song itself is, of course, awesome. The instrumental is a heavy and climactic hard rock track that just screams, it's time to end this. Also, do you hear that guitar? One thing I appreciate about Black's vocals, and the vocals of basically all the different imposters in the mod, is that even though they're all basically using the same sound effect, there's differences depending on which imposter is singing. It adds a bit of variety when the vocals could have easily become stale with how many songs there are in the mod, most of which are sung by, of course, imposters. You know something funny? That a song this good could be made on accident. The story goes that one of Bruzzin's friends jokingly said that he should remake the feat to be actually good, and Bruzzin decided to go through with it. When he was done, he thought the song was so horrible that he sent it to Cloutho as a joke, but Cloutho ended up liking the song so much that not only did Bruzzin end up on the Versus Imposter team despite not intending to join, but Cloutho also made this the final song of the mod. This story leads to an obvious question. If Bruzzin can make something so good without even trying, what happens when he actually does try? Well, be patient. We'll get to that.
Congratulations. You got exactly what you wanted. My desires. My wishes. All my existence. None of that matters. Oh yes, I finally understand. In the end, everything I needed all this time was so simple. Blue Ball's boy. Let's smile together. Let's do a little trolling.
If I was doing a top 10, top 15, top whatever really of the best cutscenes in Friday Night Funkin', that right there would be pretty high on the list. Might even have a good argument for being number 1. It goes way harder than any Friday Night Funkin' mod about a spooky version of the damn troll face has any right to. And with the build up from that cutscene, I'm happy to say that the song does not disappoint. The song has a really dark and ominous atmosphere that I like in not just the incident, but basically all of the different songs in the Trollage Files. That's not to say all of the Trollage Files songs feel the same though. They're all really unique and different from each other, despite basically all using the same dark style. The incident, for example, combines this dark and ominous atmosphere with a fast-paced and dramatic track that's a perfect capstone to your encounter with the Smiler. As well, despite the Smiler constantly, well, smiling, the song does a great job of showing how his rage has gone well beyond its boiling point. One thing I really have to compliment about the Trollage Files as a whole is the visuals. Not only does this new art style look really good, but the washed out colors and general feel of the art fit a lot better with the mod's story and tone than the original game's bright and cartoony style would have. Keeping the original art style, while I don't think would ruin the mod, it'd be like playing a horror game like Dead Space, but instead of playing as someone like Isaac Clarke, you're playing as Barney the dinosaur. Or if you took a Kingdom Hearts game and, well, changed absolutely nothing. You just really wouldn't be able to take it seriously. But this new art style not only captures the spirits of the characters, but also allows them to fit into the darker story of the Trollage Files. I love this part where the song picks up and your health starts draining so fast that even if you do this section perfectly, you still can't stop it, only slow it down. Normally I'd probably hate something like this, but the incident is otherwise a pretty easy song, so you'll probably have full health anyway going into this segment. And the section itself isn't very complex with its charting, so you're not likely to be missing a lot. So it adds tension and puts pressure on you without being frustrating to play. I really love all the glitchy visual effects going on during the song, as they, combined with the overall tone of the song, give off the impression that reality itself is falling apart. And they only get more intense the farther you get into the song. I also really like the Smiler's design. He's a bit of a mix of actually pretty scary and also pretty goofy, which fits perfectly for something like the Trollage. Overall, the incident was an amazing climax for the original mod, and as far as I'm concerned, it's also the climax of the update, because a certain oil-loving bastard won't stop kicking my ass.
Everybody, I'm back! This one guy on Twitter said he was gonna start drawing me, and then everybody spontaneously decided my continued existence was not a crime against humanity. Still got some room left in the 3.0 update. I'm going to leave now.
You know, I thought hell would have frozen over long before I ever unironically described Sonic.exe as fucking terrifying. But lo and behold, I was wrong. Seriously, how did we go from the original Sonic.exe, who was just Sonic the Hedgehog, but they threw him into Photoshop and slapped a pair of bleeding eyes on him, to this guy? Talk about an upgrade. upgrade. And speaking of upgrades, I think this remaster actually does manage to top the original Black Sun, which was already probably one of my favorite songs in a mod absolutely full to the brim with bangers, mind you. The original Black Sun was a fast-paced and intense track that gave off this vibe of desolation. The new Troa remix used in the Exemerge demo keeps the fast pace and even ups the intensity, but while still kind of having that desolate vibe to it, actually feels a lot more hopeful than the original version of the song. The reason I get this more hopeful feeling from the Exemerge version of the song than the original is because of details like EXE's vocals sounding like he's exerting himself more than he did in the original song, the song focusing less on the metal clanging apocalyptic type sounding parts, and EXE and Boyfriend singing more at the same time in comparison to the original, which had a more turn-based style used by most FNF songs. All these details put together make me feel that not only is Boyfriend on the offensive during this song, but he's actually managing to make EXE, a god mind you, struggle, which is just absolutely badass. Speaking of badass, the visuals. In the original Black Sun, EXE honestly felt a bit more to me like a wild animal luring in its prey, whereas Exemerge's version really captures the fact that you're fighting a god, with details like him absolutely towering over the Boyfriend and shifting into more demonic forms throughout the fight, even incorporating some Xenophanes brand body horror, as well as other smaller details like his icons matching his poses, and him glitching out in the final stretch of a song showing just how much control he has over the game. They really didn't need to add all this extra visual flair, but they went the extra mile and did. It's safe to say that the Exemerge development team absolutely knocked it out of the park with this one. Of course, this all leads to an obvious question. How are they going to top this when they make their version of Godspeed? Exhibit A of my last reel is absolutely amazing. That opening guitar, just awesome. Out of the 3 songs in the Indie Cross demo, I can't say I expected to like Bendy's song the most, because out of the 3 games represented, Bendy and the Ink Machine is definitely the one I have the least attachment to. But the original version of Last Reel definitely managed to win me over, and the final version only made it better. I love how intense Last Reel is. It really is the type of song that plays when things get serious and someone just cuts loose and starts kicking ass. So, who is the one kicking ass in this situation? Spoiler alert, not you. I really love how the song's fast pace and intensity just gives off this feeling of being in dire straits. The idiom, not the band. It fits because Bendy comes from a horror game where he's the main antagonist, and while he's definitely the weakest of the 3 main opponents seen in Indie Cross, it's hard to argue he's not the most vicious. I love the part where Bendy summons the ink cloud. The vocals stop, and the song slows down and takes on a bit more of an ethereal tone. The guitar in the background during it also sounds great. I also appreciate the 3-2-1 go from the base game. In Mediterra's interview with the director of Indie Cross Brightfire, Mediterra asks him how long the mod took to make, and Brightfire responds that it took over a year.
How long would you say the mod has taken to develop?
It's probably been over a year.
Damn.
And boy, does the team's effort show. Apparently the game that's gonna be seen in the next main week of Indie Cross is Hollow Knight, and considering that's one of my favorite games of all time, I have some pretty high expectations. But let's be real, this is the Indie Cross team we're talking about. They're gonna blow it out of the water and then some. Imagine this. It's 1928 and you're I works for Walt Disney, and someone comes up to you and says in 94 years, someone will make a game where you play as a short king rap battling against a suicidal version of your creation who has fallen under the sway of the devil. And the reason Mickey became suicidal is because Satan engineered a situation where he gets cucked. At least I think that's the lore. Also, Mickey will be wielding syringes like some anti-vax propaganda Wolverine. Yeah, you'd probably ask them if they escaped the loony bin, but guess what? It's real and it's awesome. Hellhole is the final song of the bad ending of Wednesday's Infidelity. And considering the good ending looks like this, yeah, you can tell this is just gonna be sunshine and rainbows, isn't it? I really like how throughout the song it shifts back and forth from being slower and more subdued to fast-paced and more intense. And the shifts happen infrequently enough that you get to enjoy both of the styles to their fullest. I think the main instruments used in this song are a piano and a guitar, and they both sound really nice, especially the guitar. At 1 minute 40 seconds in the song, Satan decides to join in the fun. Being honest, this is probably my least favorite moment from the song, just because I prefer Mickey's vocals over Satan's. That's not to say they're bad in any way, but still. The instrumental, especially the guitar, still sounds really good here though, and Satan does have a killer evil laugh. And again, while I do mostly prefer Mickey's vocals, Satan's vocals still do sound pretty good. Actually, I think I just talked myself out of having this as my least favorite part of a song, so, yeah. Also, on the topic of Satan, just listen to his dialogue in the Lapsus version of this song.
You talk a lot, mouse. Let me have a moment with the human too. Welcome him to his new house.
But before I do that, I need to figure out why King Fox decided I should sound like Hulk Hogan, brother.
If you're listening well, you might notice leitmotifs from other songs, such as Bad Apple or Cycles. And I always like when songs do that. Now, of course, this song is great. It wouldn't be on this list if it wasn't, but one question remains. Is getting to hear this song really worth going through the bad ending of Wednesday's Infidelity, where both Mickey and the boyfriend suffer at the hands of Satan for the rest of eternity? Yeah. Bro, what the fuck? After completing the downright Herculean task of beating every single song in the free play menu, some decidedly less Herculean than others, Versus Orpo Guy sees fit to leave you with one last challenge. A 5-minute long gauntlet where you control 6 different characters to take on the vile Dr. Henry Miller. Though, before I continue, I should mention that despite the FNAF phase that was basically a prerequisite for being a child in my generation, I never actually did get into the Day Shift at Freddy's series. So when I first saw this song, yeah, I was completely lost.
Who are you people?
That's not to say I didn't like it, and in fact it's a testament to how good this song is that I could appreciate it so much without even knowing its origins. But anyway, to give some context, you're playing as 5 of the main characters from the Day Shift at Freddy's series, and your opponent is Dr. Henry Miller, who's the main villain of the series and the final boss of Free, that final battle and Flipside being what this song is based off of. Henry's whole MO was using his pizzeria to murder children and put their souls into machines. You know, the typical Five Nights at Freddy's fare, though Day Shift at Freddy's is definitely anything but typical.
You think you're wise, but you're just like Fred Bear, a goddamned coward.
Holy fuck.
Well, I myself don't really have any experience with Day Shift at Freddy's. From what I've heard online, this song more than does the series justice. And it's not hard to imagine why. Miller is a gauntlet of a hard rock song, clocking in at 5.5 minutes. and the song constantly evolves throughout its runtime, never getting stale. However, throughout the song, your party of 6 slowly gets whittled down to 1, as Henry takes them out of commission. How does he do this, you may ask? By just straight up insulting them. The entire song is just filled to the brim with tension, not just because of your dwindling party, but because of how fast Henry drains your health. You can weaken the health drain and even stop it entirely by hitting the spite notes, but until you do, God help you. I really like the part near the end where you're down to just Jack Kennedy and the song gets even more intense. It really gives off this feeling of being on your last legs as Jack tries to make a final stand while Henry goes in for the kill. But it ends up backfiring on him as Jack revives the entire party to defeat Henry. Versus Orpal Guy is a pretty big mod, but don't think for 1 second that the devs chose quantity over quality. Basically, all of the songs in the mod are bangers, and it says something that against even them, Miller still manages to come out on top. I remember the first time I discovered Sonic.exe was when I watched Ifgo's Boom's playthrough of the game, which was uploaded, apparently never. But anyway, me being the dumb and stupid child I was scared absolutely shitless by Sonic with bloody eyes. But then I grew from a dumb and stupid child to a dumb and stupid teenager and came to a shocking realization. Sonic.exe is not scary. In fact, it's pretty ridiculous. Other people coming to this realization and the creator's response of the pasta being moved from the creepypasta wiki to the troll pasta wiki led to Sonic.exe going from one of the most popular creepypastas to one of the most mocked. Then soon Sonic.exe and the whole exe fad it spawned just kind of faded into obscurity. And for a long time, that was the end of the story. Little did we all know that not only would he make his comeback in a Friday Night Funkin' mod of all things, but he'd be bringing the entire creepypasta crew with him. And considering how many songs from creepypasta mods are on this list, I couldn't be happier. But anyway, despite versus Sonic.exe getting cancelled, You Can't Run Encore was finished afterwards, and I cannot express how grateful I am that it was. The song is an intense heavy metal remix of the infamous Sonic drowning theme, and it perfectly represents that despite that smug smile he has, Xenophanes, yes that's how you pronounce his name, is absolutely furious that you managed to survive this long against him. The vocals also pair really well with this song. Boyfriend's vocals are really made to sound good if anything, and Sonic.exe's have this deep and sinister tone to them. Also, the way they're using this song really gives off this feeling of rage from him. Just listen to this reference to Hill Act 1 for an example. And here's the best part of the song. Zephaniah has been real quiet since this dropped, huh? It's safe to say this song had a ton of work put into it, having gone through 7 different versions being worked on by multiple composers, the final version being worked on by 4. And all of that effort definitely shows as this song ranks among one of my favorites, and another mod once again filled with some amazing songs.
Come back here! Come here! I'm gonna kick your ass!
No! No!
I'm gonna kick it harder if you don't come over here!
Before I begin, begin this segment, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why I have Manual Blast on here, when I already have a song from Versus Sonic.exe on the list, seemingly going against my own rules that I set out at the beginning of the video. Well, after Versus Sonic.exe's cancellation, Manual Blast was planned to be moved to illegal instruction, before that mod itself got cancelled. So fortunately, I don't have to worry about being too weak-willed to choose which one I put on the list. The first part of Manual Blast pits you against this little fella, whose name is Hog. He's got no secrets to hide, and he's definitely not a copy of anyone else. Hog's part of Manual Blast is a catchy and upbeat tune that comes straight out of the heyday of the Sega Genesis. It's pretty good, but not why the song made the list. Once you reach a minute into the song, the music starts to cut out, which should signal the song ending, right? Then, pray tell, why is there still 6 minutes left on the clock? That's not right. Hey, Scorch, did you forget to turn on the lights? Maybe if I... Nope, that's not right either. You know what? I think I'm just gonna resort to getting footage off the internet for this one. My footage was laggy as hell anyway. Audience, meet Scorched. He's another take of Sonic.exe, and ironically enough, considering his name, might just be the coolest. Sure, he's not exactly scary in the ways that something like EXE or Lord X is, though I still definitely wouldn't want to run into him in a dark alley. But it's hard to deny that this beast-like design is just badass, and the song accompanying it is appropriately awesome. Scorch's section of Manual Blast is another 5-minute long gauntlet like Miller, and is a frantic and climactic track with this undercurrent of dread and intimidation. A perfect song for fighting a beast that's intent on ending your life. But if that's all there is to it, then why does the song sound so tragic in some parts? To understand that, you're gonna need to understand Scorched himself. To give you the cliff notes, Scorched is the real Sonic, his universe having been destroyed to make room for Hogs. Despite this, Sonic persists inside his copy, his appearance becoming warped due to his code becoming corrupted. The other inhabitants of Sonic's world weren't so, for a broad definition of the term, lucky, all having died and being replaced with pale imitations. Sonic would go mad from this and delude himself into thinking Hog was responsible and swear revenge on him. As the song goes on, the tragic edge I mentioned becomes more and more apparent, leading up to the final stretch of a song where this happens. The song becomes more intense as Scorch starts to glitch, his face and voice swapping between different EXEs, showcasing his loss of identity. And overall, this part of the song comes off less as he's still trying to kill you and more as if he's just having a breakdown. Overall, I just really like Scorch due to how interesting a take he is on the usual Sonic.exe formula, and this song definitely does him justice. Before I end off this segment, I want to direct you to Seo Sky's lyrical cover of Manual Blast. Yeah, Hog's part does sound a little off, but the second half of their cover is amazing. Go check it out. Going from evil versions of Sonic the Hedgehog to an evil version of his eternal rival, Mario, we have Mirror Mode. Mirror Mode is actually a remix of another FNF song called Confronting Yourself, which actually wasn't originally an FNF song, instead being a Megalovania analog for an Undertale AU known as Different Topic, where the role of Kara is filled by Sonic.exe. And you know who takes the place of Sans in this AU? Freaking Pink Sheep! It really really is the internet's mission to make a megalovania for everything and everyone who has ever existed, in real life or in fiction. Not that I can exactly complain about that, because as you can probably tell by how much it appears in my videos, I really like Megalovania. This song is unique because it's the only one on the list to not feature Boyfriend in any capacity, instead pitting Mario against his diabolical doppelganger Power-Up State 135, who's based on a Super Mario World glitch. The resemblance really is just uncanny, if you ignore, everything. The intense and fast-paced instrumental pairs great with the overpowering and harsh vocals of PS135 and the more determined vocals of Mario. One thing I appreciate about this song compared to Confronting Yourself is that Mario faces his copy head-on instead of running away. The song does a great job of giving off the impression that both Mario and PS135 are pulling out all the stops to defeat the other. On the topic of them pulling out all the stops, this song also takes cues from Triple Trouble, having PS135 summon the deceased souls of Mario's friends to attack him. I also really like how they sound in this song too. Luigi's vocals sound pained, while Peach's sound more resigned, and when Yoshi and Oogtar join to fight later in the song, their vocals sound like maddened screaming. As a whole, Mario Mix just always seems to nail the vocals. I know I've said this for a lot of the songs on the list now, but despite Mario Mix having some amazing songs, Mirror Mode manages to stand out against even them. And believe me, that means something when your competition is the likes of Power Rush, Shell Slam, Mario is Missing, Here It's Cry, Running, Storm, Commander, and freaking Dire Attempt 2401. Mario Mix really is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? This video was probably one of the hardest to make as there's so many great FNF songs, and I couldn't possibly fit all of them on this list. But despite how hard choosing each song was, I knew Mirror Mode was a lock for the top spot. Well, it would have been if it wasn't for one other song. From Versus Witty, arguably the one that started it all, and it still holds up pretty well today. Ballistic is a fast-paced and energetic track that truly lives up to its name. Overall, it seems people like the original better than the remaster, but personally I like both. Release from Smoke 'Em Out Struggle. Considering how many FNF mods go for the I'm angry and this is my god form and I'm gonna kill you now, rah! Song Freeze, Release was a nice change of pace, being a much more somber and kind of relaxing song fitting for the situation presented in the mod. The Executioner from Nightmare of the Mushroom Kingdom. Not MK was pretty hit or miss, but this was definitely a hit. In this song, you're playing as Lord X against this EXE version of Wario. I really like the song's instrumental, and it meshes well with the vocals of both Wario and Lord X. I also like the little animations throughout the song, like Wario's I'm gonna win, and his animation for entering Phase 2, where he cuts off his own head.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Trinity versus Rewrite. Meh, I was always more partial to Google Docs myself. Death Toll from FNF Lullaby. Despite being a fight against a ruler of hell, this song is downright heavenly to listen to. The use of bells in this song is so great, I half expected DM Dokuru to be listed as a composer. Death Toll really does feel like what you'd get if you took a Pokemon battle theme and mixed with a Calamity boss fight theme. Triple Appear from Mario FNF Port. A song where you play as both the boyfriend and the girlfriend against not one, not two, but 3 different creepypasta characters, all set to an amazing heavy rock backing track. You can sign me up. And the version 2 of this song manages to be even better, even if it's unfortunately not going to be in the final version of the mod. Multiversal Calamity from Sonic Shuffle. Take what I said about Triple Appear, make the instrumental even more rocking, and bump it up to 6 different EXEs. What's not to love? Triple Trouble from Versus Sonic Sonic.exe, an 8-minute long gauntlet against Xenophonies and all of his victims, which combines the classic Sega Genesis era Sonic soundtracks with this dark and creepy atmosphere that overall acts as a wonderful finale to the mod's main week. Friends to Your End from FNF vs. Rainbow Friends. Friends to Your End is a 5-minute long song that pits you against the blue, green, orange, and purple of the Rainbow Friends. I like all of their vocals, and the instrumental is pretty great too, but what really steals the show here is the visuals. This song's sprites are in 3D instead of 2D, and all of the models of the Rainbow Friends look really nice, and their animations are amazing. Confrontation from FNF's Secret Histories. A fast-paced and energetic song that's ripe with tension. Perfect for, well, confronting someone like the psychopathic version of Tails seen in Secret Histories. A really nice touch is that when Tails is singing, a warning siren is added to the instrumental. Really does a good job of showing just how dangerous he is. And Dire Attempt 2041 from Mario Mix. A Mario Mix version of Sync from the mod Below the Depths. That's mainly based on Dire Docks instead of Labyrinth though. It's a really sad track emphasizing the tragedy of Luigi's fate in this song. And it only gets even more sad when Mario shows up and tries to save his brother. The vocals do a really good job of emphasizing the desperation of both brothers for Luigi to escape his fate, even if they never say a single word. Definitely would have been a shoo-in for this list if mirror mode did not exist. Remember this part of the segment where I was talking about finale? If Resin can make something so good without even trying, what happens when he actually does try? Well, here's your answer. Perfection, thy name is Doomsday. God, where do I even begin with this one? You should talk about the instrumental, my child. Thanks, God. Doomsday's instrumental is fast-paced and intense, mainly made up of both the tolling of bells and an electric guitar. It is a just amazing backing track that is more than worthy of being the finale for the main week. One interesting thing about Doomsday is that when you listen to just the instrumental, it doesn't sound too different from the full song, whereas many other FNF songs actually sound very different when you listen to just the instrumental. Of course, this song is godlike with or without the vocals, and on the topic of the vocals, they pair really well with the instrumental. I especially like how Squidward's vocals sometimes sound like a warning siren. Boyfriend's vocals are also great and harmonize really well with Squidward's. While Doomsday would already make it pretty high on this list on its own, what really elevates it to number 1 is the gameplay and visuals. You see, Mistful Crimson Morning's main week is based on 2 different creepypastas, Squidward's Suicide and Red Mist. Both of them are about an intern at Nickelodeon Studios watching an unaired episode of SpongeBob known as Squidward's Suicide. The episode was about Squidward performing at a concert, but at the end of his performance was booed by everyone there, including SpongeBob, and they all had hyper-realistic eyes. As a result of being booed at the concert, Squidward decides to end his own life. Throughout the song, there are flashbacks back to the concert, and with these and just how the song feels, it manages to almost perfectly convey the story of the original creepypasta without ever uttering a single word or lyric. It's really impressive how they managed to do that, and it adds a lot to the song. And if you want more proof why the song is great, just listen to this. The vocals, the instrumental, it's all just so perfect! Like seriously, this is a Friday Night Funkin' mod about Squidward from SpongeBob wanting to end himself. They did not need to go this hard! Another great part of the song is near the end, where it flashes back to the concert and you can hear the crowd booing Squidward, as the music slowly builds up, all leading to this. A long, agonized scream that shows Squidward is truly at the end of his rope. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? The whole reason Squidward enters the state he does in the creepypasta is because people think he's a bad musician. And yet he ended up being the subject of the best Friday Night Funkin' song there is. Hey, before I show the last scene of this song, a little trigger warning, with emphasis on the trigger. You do remember the name of the creepypasta this is based on, right? You may want to skip ahead in the video if you don't think you're comfortable with this. And with that, we have reached this list's end. This was definitely the hardest ranking I've done on this channel, as there are just so many great songs from so many great mods to choose from. I know this community has had its ups and many downs, but at the end of the day, it's undeniable that the FNF community is full of many talented people putting out some really amazing stuff. I talked about quite a few songs in this video, but to be honest, I haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this community. Feel free to sound off in the comments on what your favorite FNF songs are. There's a lot to choose from. But anyway, I think it's about time we wrap this up. If you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like? And if you enjoy the rest of the content on my channel, why not subscribe and ring the bell? And remember, whether you're faced with demonic in-laws, godlike hedgehogs, or suicidal cephalopods, the answer is to challenge them to a rap battle. See you on the next video.